Back on Hold My Banner, George Balekji, Adam Pellerin. Shout out to you guys joining us on the Nesson Nation debut. Hey, make sure to use the hashtag NessonChat. Tweet at Nesson as well. Tag myself or Adam Pellerin on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. We have one tweet I want to pull up here, Adam. More devastating injury, Tatum last night or Brady in 2008? Hashtag NessonChat. This one from our guy, Beef Stew 2022. That's
great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
08 Brady is coming off that Super Bowl loss to the Giants when they went 18-1. This one for Tatum is going for that second straight NBA title.
Yeah, so, all right. So, obviously, injuries happen at different points in the year, right? The Celtics are already in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Brady's injury happened in week 1, first offensive possession.
Yeah. Against the Chiefs, right?
Against the Chiefs, right. Exactly. Bernard Pollard, who, injured Gronk a couple of years later in the post. But anyway, I digress.
You're not holding on to it.
I would say, looking at it, because of the ramifications for the Celtics, this one might be more devastating. Now, again, going back to 08, and it might be recency bias, but going back to 08, you're right. They came off the one game short of a perfect season. You come into 08 and you're running it back. You got everybody back. You got Moss, you got Welker, you got all the guys on defense, and you're poised to make another run at it in redemption. But the thing is, you weren't gonna run the table. It wasn't gonna be 19-0. You might have won a Super Bowl that year, but that was a once in a lifetime type of thing, right? So devastating from the standpoint that yes, you were the Super Bowl favorite that year, and it would have been a great redemption story, but you end up winning 3 more Super Bowls later on, right?
Long run.
Because you're able to look back on it now and say, you know what? You won the 3 Super Bowls. Yeah, it stinks that you weren't able to do something special in 07. With the Celtics and Jayson Tatum, this could be it.
Yeah.
This could be the window closing as we know it for the Celtics with this group. Now, maybe, Tatum and Brown are able to, and the Celtics are able to build around those guys once again. But there is much more uncertainty, I think, surrounding this Celtics group than there was the Patriots, because you knew Brady was going to come back. You didn't know if there was another Super Bowl in the cards at the time, and I understand that, but they still had Brady and Belichick. You knew they were going to be there.
The head coach.
Right.
And that's the thing. I think this one hurts more because, again, you're close. You're in the postseason. You put together a great regular season. You're a historic team on the road. You got that win at Madison Square Garden, and this game was still tight, still close, even with that turnover late. This one hurts more, in my opinion, because it's the best player again. It's a guy that does everything. Brady did everything for the Patriots, on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
But Tatum does everything to drive this Celtics, bus, and does everything for that offense and for that defense too, along with the other guys around him.
And what it means moving forward too, right? It's not just this year. It's next year. It's beyond.
And it's an Achilles for a really good athlete compared to an ACL for a quarterback.
Right.
There's a difference there.
A non-mobile quarterback.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, and you bring it up of like this could be it for this dynasty and for the Celtics franchise. We don't know how long the window is. Rings are really hard to win. Yeah. And you get caught up with it, especially in Boston with the success the Sox had in 04 and all the way through 18. With the Patriots, obviously, from 01 to 2019, the 2020 season as well themselves. For the Celtics, it was the Bird era. It was Bill Russell. It was the Bird era, the recent ones, the big 3. And now it was this one, looking at dynasties. And the same way we've seen, now Larry Bird, it was his back deteriorating, retires in 92. McHale with his foot, Parrish still on the team. The big 3, that's what this one is eerily similar to. They put that team together. It's Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. They win the whole thing. Right. The second big 3, right? They win the whole thing. Yes, you're right. Second big 3 for the Celtics. Respect to Parrish.
Us old heads, I got to
I love Chief. I love Chief. All-time great. But you put those 3 together. Yeah. They win it 07-08. Next season, KG tears his ACL. Season after that, they lose to Kobe in the finals. 2012, Ray Allen leaves. 2013, they're traded to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
For this one it's again, all these moving parts and putting them together.
Yeah.
And that's what the one that hurts. Of like, I think this was it. I really think this was it. So many things had to go right, including swindling teams for the trade for Porzingis, maximizing his slim, healthy window, and swinging that trade to get Drew Holiday, who was dumped by the Bucks, sent to Portland, and making it work to get him from Portland to Boston. Like, a lot had to go right to put this team together.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a decent analogy for sure. I think I still hold on to some hope that this isn't it for Tatum and Brown, right, the team around them will look different, right?
Yeah.
And so the central figures, are still going to be there. We just don't know how Tatum's going to recover and if he's going to be the same guy. And even with Brown and his knee and, all that stuff moving forward, when it came to the second big three, you knew those guys were done here. They were, then KG and Ray and Paul went on to play some more, but they weren't like the guys at that point, right?
Yeah.
So that's why their window closed, because they didn't have the ability to carry a team anymore. We don't know I hope that Jayson Tatum will still have that ability when he's done.
Yeah.
From whatever the timeline is for recovery.
Yeah.
I hope Jaylen Brown is not that. They're still relatively young guys. KG at the end, I think, was 36 years old, right? 37 maybe even. And Paul Pierce is not too far behind. Ray, even older than KG at that point. And Ray obviously, jumped ship for Miami before KG and Pierce left Boston or got traded to Brooklyn. But I think that there's still some hope left for Tatum and Brown, or at least Tatum.
It's the Jays era isn't over.
It's not yet, but the rest of the team around them.
Because I think what you look back is Drew Holiday is going to be 35 next season. He's going to cost $32 million on the salary. Porzingis will be 30, and he'll be $30 million. And he's only, since he got to the Celtics, regular season games only, he's played in 99 of the 164 potential regular season games.
Right.
And this was a guy dealing with the illness. Al Horford, he could be retiring. I don't think the Celtics return him. I think, again, it's hit a hard reset on this entire roster. He's played 18 years in the league. He's a future Hall of Famer, but it is how this core looks. And the outlook I have for the Celtics team now is, and I would rather go with the hard choice, but you got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it now. I'd rather go for the hard rebuild now, hit the hard reset, and get back to the winning and contending way sooner than trying to string it out. And that's where I look at, again, from what we see, from the reaction we see, I think it's worst case scenario injury for Jayson Tatum. Best case, it could be a really bad ligament injury, but it could still be a long recovery. With Jaylen Brown, we don't know what his knee is going to hold for him coming into this offseason. You still have the Jays. I don't trade either one. And anyone saying that's a swing, and we'll get into talking draft lottery and Cooper Flagg, you can't pass up on having two elite wings still in their prime before the age of 30.
Right.
The reason the Knicks are built the way they are, Adam, with OG Anunoby having a game of a lifetime as he did last night, having Mikal Bridges doing the same thing, the reason they're built that way was to stop the two Jays. Because everyone was molding their teams on how to beat them. It's what the Magic did. It's what we're seeing teams out west do as well to match up with them in the finals. You don't part way with the Jays, but I think the sooner the better that you hit restart on this rebuild, or more of hit start on this rebuild.
Yeah, it's sort of a retool, right? And I think that's the word that the Bruins had used, right?
Yeah,
Not
retool.
A retool, only because you can't hit a hard reset because you have those two guys and still have Jaylen Brown playing next year, right? And Derek White is going to be here probably, right? He's still got a bunch of time left on his contract. He's still a valuable piece, and he can help you moving forward when Tatum comes back. But the reason you got Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday was to help you in the postseason, right? Especially Porzingis, right? You trade Marcus Smart, you get Porzingis in here, and he was great in limited action last year in the postseason.
Yeah.
Right? And you could see what he could do. This year, you're just not seeing the same thing. He got 1 year left, $30+ million left on the contract, and if you're not going anywhere next year, he is the first guy you look at when it comes to trade, right? He and Holiday.
Yes.
This offseason. So in that sense, you're definitely getting rid of pieces that can help you make a postseason run. I still think that I don't think they're going to be able to dump enough salary to not be competitive next year, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Jaylen Brown now getting the keys and maybe being the man. Peyton Pritchard's still going to be on the roster, sixth man of the year.
Yeah, they got 3 years left on his contract.
Still got a lot of talent.
Sam Hauser's going to be here for a while, too.
Right, exactly. Still got a lot of talent. There'll be elevated roles for some guys, and who knows who they'll bring in if they're able to trade some of these pieces, too.
It's, if you look at what the roster can be, if Jayson Tatum's out for a significant amount of time, if Holiday, Porzingis are traded, and Al Horford retires, or if they just don't bring him back in free agency, you would have as your best players Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett. Maybe you get some minutes out of Jordan Walsh. Maybe you have J.D. Davison, developing at the NBA level. Baylor Shireman, Neemias Queta. And this is a front office and Brad Stevens that knows what he's doing. Who out there they trade for, I can't even wrap my mind around yet. Who they can go out there and sign, that's all a possibility too. But that would be the core if there are the guys that won't be here next season that we think. and if Jayson Tatum's not available next season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Danny Ainge made some tough decisions back in the day because he knew that they were looking to rebuild. Again, a little bit of a different situation because you have Tatum coming back at some point and you still have Jaylen Brown. But these are some of the decisions you have to make. And you mentioned some of those young guys too. If they get elevated roles next year, that could make you better in the long run, right?
Yes.
It could make you a deeper team in the long run, and it would also, build up the value of some of these guys. They might be valuable in terms of a trade, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you get to next year's trade deadline and you can throw, whoever that is in a deal to make you better in the future, it can be beneficial in that way as well.
I mean, Peyton Pritchard's been great the last 2 games for the Celtics.
Yeah.
The confidence he's having with his shot, his all-around game too, how intense he has been on defense too. Like, okay, you get him playing more. Sam Hauser rolled ankle. He hasn't been playing, or an injured ankle. He hasn't been playing in this series. Right. But I think of the J.D. Davisons and the Jordan Walshes. Like, if you can develop a serviceable shot for Jordan Walsh, everything he does with his athleticism, what he can bring on the defensive end, if you got that guy playing 82 NBA games, that benefits him in the long run, exactly to your point. This could go one of 2 ways. It could be best case scenario, everything's all right, and it's a soft retool, or it's going to be Celtics fans. You need to have patience as they develop a Davison, as they develop a Jordan Walsh. And if Jaylen Brown's there, that could be a team that can mess around, get into the play-in, maybe make some noise in the playoffs, or it could be a team that missed the postseason altogether, like you mentioned with the Warriors.
Right.
But if it gets you back to that mountaintop and gets you back to winning rings, whatever the path is, what's best long-term for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown? That's my priority if you're the Celtics. All around, that's my priority.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, too, that the fan base is understanding of that, right? They don't have to worry about pressure from the fan base to win now based on the circumstances and the Jayson Tatum injury. And so you get the opportunity to get a look at some other guys, some extended looks. And, who knows, maybe as early as this postseason, right?
Yeah.
You could see, some of those guys that you mentioned come off the bench. And, I know you shorten the rotations in the playoffs, but now, the Red Sox, geez, it's baseball season. The Celtics working with an 8-man rotation.
Yeah.
You need an 8th man.
Yeah.
Right? So who is that going to be?